What's going on, guys? Welcome to another interview edition of Learn Crypto. My name is Nick Hellman, and today we have Alex Sterk. He is the community manager of UBIQ and the director and chief operating officer of UBIQ Technologies Inc. How are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you for the nice proper introduction. I know that's something always hard to get drilled into people, but yeah, it is kind of a dual role that I serve.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Before we really get started, guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Remember, everything on here is for entertainment purposes only. This is not financial advice. So I guess, Alex, to start, first of all, I appreciate that you got back to me on Twitter and then you're getting on here doing your thing over. Are you in Vancouver right now, you said?
Yeah. I'm staying in Vancouver right now just for some projects that we're handling in town here. I'm staying at the DDP headquarters where they accept UBIQ for a nice fresh bed and a good place to stay.
That's pretty awesome. I guess to start, what is really your background? I guess you can just differentiate between UBIQ and the UBIQ Technologies Incorporated company and kind of what you do for both projects.
Yeah, so like I have a background in like electrical engineering, and I did a lot of project management for some Fortune 500 companies, and yeah, I've always kind of had a technical kind of expertise of the space, but yeah, I guess my main role was just kind of starting to bring a lot of the developers together, get people organized, and make sure that like projects that are very similar or people that can collaborate know about each other. So that's kind of my role as a community manager, kind of having a top level view and being someone that people can always point to really have a good conversation with. And then we also have the UBIQ Technologies Incorporated, which is kind of like our for-profit development company. We do lots of consulting work, some proof of concepts, and our main portfolio piece is helping develop the public UBIQ network.
Cool. So does that like corporate arm with the UBIQ Tech Inc. Consulting that you guys do, does any of that kind of interact with future development on the blockchain of UBIQ? Like, is that going to add value proposition to the UBIQ coin here in the future as well? Or is that kind of a totally separate entity?
No, there's lots of overlap. So like we are developing like products that I think are useful for enterprise. Like our main project right now is doing kind of a shareholder agreement on the blockchain, like tokenizing shares. And that's for the purposes of doing internal company governance, so voting on proposals, signing off on different legal documents. So there's a lot of overlap, and a lot of the work that we're putting in right now into the Escher system, the governance system that we're building for the public chain. There's a lot of crossover, so we're not having to build the same system twice. So yeah, it's kind of a great opportunity where we can kind of develop something open source and very useful for enterprise, and more customized for them, but then more general and kind of welcoming for the public side. So yeah, that's where we as a company are able to kind of do this dual task of developing the UBIQ blockchain and also encouraging businesses to build on it.
Cool. Yeah, well, you mentioned Escher a little bit there, and I know these guys are wondering about the Escher airdrops, but we'll get to that here in a second. I think it'll be good to start for those in the community or those who are watching that really have never heard about UBIQ before, if you can kind of just go give an overview of what the UBIQ coin is and what the platform is striving to do.
Yeah, so UBIQ is an alternative implementation of the Ethereum virtual machine, the EVM. So we have all the same functionality that Ether does in terms of launching smart contracts. But yeah, we are our own blockchain. We're our own network with our own miners, our own currency, and our own design philosophy. And part of that is really being more stability focused, where we are only merging changes in the Ethereum code base that we feel are well tested, and really allowing businesses and individuals to build mission critical apps on a chain that they can trust is going to operate to their expectations. So yeah, in some way, like Ethereum is our testnet, but we don't view them as a competitor. We are definitely like a kind of a complement to their system. Like we were helping push the same standard.
And you were essentially similar to Ether as far as being like a protocol platform, but you said you're targeting more enterprise. So obviously that's why you're kind of trying to have the stability. That way a company can get on board and really trust that blockchain is going to function properly on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, like we've heard recently from the kind of Ethereum leadership, where having bugs in the main chain is just something that comes with pushing a new code base, being bleeding edge. One of the guys even saying, like, don't run mission critical apps on Ether, like, or on the main chain. It's not ready yet. Like we are several years away, I think, from Ether being done, but it definitely has kind of the growing pains to go through, and we're hoping to kind of reduce some of the risk for people wanting to build with Solidity today.
Cool. That's awesome. Could you kind of explain UBIQ's and like monetary policy? Like I know you guys are GPU mineable. Maybe you can get into kind of how your inflation rate is, because I know you guys don't have a finite supply of coins. So that is another characteristic that you do share with Ether. But maybe if you can describe kind of how those block rewards occur and how they're going to look here in the future.
Yeah, so like we've taken the technology of Ethereum, but we've really tried to take the monetary policy or the economics of Bitcoin and combine them into one thing. So we were the first Ethereum implementation to have a set monetary policy. So the emission rate of UBIQ has been set from the day we launched, and there's very little chance it's going to change without some contention, or maybe with a governance vote. We'll see. But the main thing that we have is we started with 8 UBIQ per block, which turns into it's about like 7% interest rate. Or inflation rate, sorry, every for the whole year. And then we just had our 1-year anniversary where we went from 8 UBIQ per block to 7. And we're going to keep doing those steps down. So next year, January time, we're going to step down to 6, and we're going to do all the way down to 1, and then we're going to stay at 1 UBIQ per block. And that puts us at about 0.7% inflation. And the reason that we're not going to zero, similar to how Bitcoin or even Ethereum Classic is set up, is that we haven't really seen an example of a proof of work chain that's operating without inflation, that's operating purely on its fees. And we're not looking to be the first. So we're kind of maybe going more with like the Monero policy. But yeah, right now we have about 40 million coins. 40 million coins issued. Sorry, my laundry's done. We have about 40 million coins issued, and after we get to about one UBIQ per block, it's going to be about 50 million, and then we're minting about 1,000 coins every day, 360,000 coins a year. Around
cool.
That number.
Yeah, I was going to say going down to 0 rewards per block is really going to be pushing, if there's going to be incentives for those miners to stay on your chain, stay on your network, and to keep providing verifications for the transactions and so forth. So, I mean, it can happen if you get enough people on your blockchain, enough transactions are occurring, that maybe the transactions will be enough incentive for the miners, but we'll have to see. Nobody, like you said, nobody's done it yet. And I don't know if I would want to be the first here in the crypto space to have that be the reason that your coin or your platform fails.
Well, we're pushing a very aggressive kind of inflation schedule too. So we do have to make sure we develop enough applications to generate fees to supplement the block reward. Like that is going to be necessary to keep miners incentivized.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate that we didn't have much of a drop in hash rate with this drop from 8 down to 7. So I hope we kind of see that trend continue year after year in January.
Yep. So I was going to say you got to keep creating more value propositions with your products, and or at the same time trying to increase the price of UBIQ itself. Therefore, the reduced block rewards, they still get a decent payout there. But I guess that was a good overview. If you want to talk a little bit about this governance system you guys are putting into place and this Escher airdrops that you guys are going to be doing, I think you're going to be doing them quarterly for this entire year. So I think there's 4 separate airdrops. Is that correct?
There will be 8, yes.
8?
So yeah, we're just finalizing. You'll see the blog post on Escher at blog.ubicsmart.com. I guess starting from the beginning, our team has been mainly focused on doing infrastructure, so building things like public node frameworks, wallets, hardware wallet support. Even the mobile app has kind of been tossed around. But now we're kind of having the team transition to building applications. And there's a lot of really great open source protocols and tokens systems available in the Ethereum ecosystem. So we want to build we want to have a lot of those same sort of protocol tokens running on UBIQ. But what's the best way to distribute them? We don't really need to do an ICO. Like we're able to push this push these use cases out without requiring any funding. So we started with governance, and we want to reward active UBIQ holders with this voting token. So different than traditional airdrops where every wallet is going to go get a balance, we are requiring that there's some participation. So you have to register your address with a smart contract. You're basically sending a 0 UBIQ transaction just to say, hey, include this address. And then at block 448,000, we are going to take the list of addresses, and then based on their balances at that block, we're going to issue 12 Escher per UBIQ.
That's cool. I think that 448,000 is around April 25th, if I'm correct too. And
yeah, I did a recalculation though, and with some of the jump in mining that we have, it's coming up even sooner. It's almost like the 23rd. So yeah, get those claims in. We're coming up on about a week left.
Yeah, I know myself, even personally, I do a little at-home mining, and I switched one of my machines over to UBIQ just to kind of get a little more with the Escher airdrop on the horizon. Where could they find a link to get that Escher website for you guys and claim that? Do you know? I know you guys tweeted it out. I've tweeted it out in the past. I just didn't know if you guys had it on your main website or anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna check right now if Luke added the click link, the clickable link on the homepage, but it doesn't look like it's quite there yet. But it's the same domain, ubiqsmart.com /Escher, which is ESCHER.
Yep, cool. I'll make sure to put that. I think I have it pulled up on my other computer. I'll make sure to put that in the description below, guys. It's at the very least in there that does give a description on what Escher is, what the primary functions are going to be with governance, and that there may be some more functionality with it here in the future, which I'll ask you about here in a second. Also, they do provide you step-by-step instructions on how to interact with either their Pyrus wallet or their Fusion wallet, and really interact with that smart contract and then be on the list in order to get that airdrop. So with that being said, I know for now Escher is just going to be a governance token. In this article here, it says that there may be some future use cases for Escher. Do you know any of those that may happen, or do you think Eschers are also going to be available for trade on exchanges as well?
So we're not pushing for any exchange to add Escher. That's not the use case we envision. You know, like all these tokens, like being traded is a very minimal use case. Like just serve the speculators. But we really want to build more utility into it, and then over time that might give it more subjective value. But some of the first use cases that we want to push for are 0x exchange is a very common protocol that Binance and Bitfinex are both kind of building with. So we are going to build some of that functionality into the Escher token. So Escher token holders are able to kind of host or help host the decentralized exchange. So you'll be able to trade UBIQ and all its tokens within the smart contract platform. And then, we're looking after that. I think Raiden is probably one of the more promising ones. They haven't really got their mainnet implementation going yet. Prediction markets, we'd really like to see Gnosis or Augur. If they can deliver some really good code base, we'll build some of that functionality into the token, or even swap the token. You'll be able to transform your Escher into prediction market token.
That's cool.
That's kind of our inspiration for the name too. Cool. It's how Escher kind of has this art style that really is a lot of different forms. So we really want the Escher token to be serving a lot of different forms and really help host a lot of the more protocol-focused dApps.
Cool. So guys, what I'm gathering from that is Escher may not have a fiat value to begin with. Obviously, it's just going to be a governance token, and it may not even be pushed on exchanges, but it could in the future here have a bunch of different utility functionalities that will be pretty good to interact with, and I definitely think it'll be an airdrop that is worth getting involved with. I know the first airdrop is a 12-to-1. The next 7 airdrops don't really have a conversion ratio. Is that depending on something, or is that just based on how many claims are done in this first round?
So we've just finalized what the distribution schedule is. So we're starting with 12, and it's the biggest one because we don't really have any functionality to show yet. So it's where kind of the highest amount of speculation happens.
Mm-hmm.
But by the next airdrop, which should be in about 3 months, you'll be rewarded 6 Escher per UBIQ. And then goes down to 3, 2, and then all of next year is going to be 1 Escher per UBIQ. So even if you don't participate in this one, you still have opportunity to get Escher in the future. It's just now like your participation is most valuable because you are an active holder in this community. Like you're listening to great podcasts where you're finding out more information. So this is where we're kind of distributing more votes as more voting options kind of come up. But yeah, as more functionality comes up too, there will be I think more participation. But right now I'm just looking at the current stats, and we have about 34% claimed across over 1,000 addresses, which is very impressive. I'm very happy to see that, and I'd like to see a little more before we finalize our airdrop date. But yeah, it's
cool.
Looking well, thanks.
And I did participate in the Fusion version of the claim guys. So if you guys need help working through that, they do have step-by-step instructions. But you guys know you can always DM me over at Twitter or just leave a comment in the comment section below, and I will get back to you.
We have some videos too on the UBIQ videos YouTube channel. But Pyrus is definitely the easiest one. If you go to the contracts tab, you'll see it's like preloaded there. Don't have to enter anything in. It's just you load up your key and you're able to sign a transaction and you're set.
Yeah, the Fusion one I had to play around with a little bit with the smart contract functionality and look around for a little bit, so it took a little bit longer. But that's just the wallet I had, so I just ran with it. So I guess we're getting towards the end of this, but I love that you guys do quarterly reports. I work for a traditional institutional investment advisor as a performance analyst, so I see a lot of these traditional managers and the quarterly reports they send over. And I think the UBIQ ones, I don't know who in the project writes those up, but I think they're very professional. They lay everything out very smoothly. You write them, there you go.
Yeah. And it's a team effort too.
Yeah, and they stand tall to some of these other research papers that I do receive in the traditional side as well. I like how you guys, this is what it is, this is what our future is, and this is kind of what has been successful so far. And I know you kind of talked about that you guys really this year focused on the infrastructure as far as getting put on exchanges, trying to get more people on your hash rate, getting Ledger Nano OS, Trezor integration. So you're doing all that. You did also add some coins. I think GeoCoin is probably the most recent one, the most recognizable. And I think with these protocol platforms, a lot of people generate value to the, say, Ether or Neo, for example, as you get more ICOs or projects on your platform. Are there really any ICOs or any existing coins that are kind of talking about switching over to UBIQ here in the near future?
Like I've been going to a lot of conferences, like especially in the Vancouver area. There was a CoinFest last week, there's definitely a lot of interest in terms of moving over, and this is why I think one of our priorities for this year, kind of one of our roadmap items, is to build a bridge between some of the other EVMs. So this will allow an EVM is essentially like a computer, and we have several of these now that exist: Ethereum Classic, Etherium, Quantum, Rootstock, and UBIQ. And these are all basically isolated right now. If we start building the internet between them, we're allowed to actually have some transactions happen between, where I can send my CryptoKitty to the UBIQ chain and do the breeding there, and then it's far cheaper, reduce gas costs, and then I'm able to send it back and then do the bidding and whatnot on a different chain. So cool. That's where we can really see the functionality of UBIQ and a lot of fluid changes between projects. But right now I've had like 3 meetings this week about people looking to do ICOs on a stable platform, and a lot of really cool, more like traditional finance projects. Cool.
That's really interesting. Because I've been very bullish on protocol tokens, not only from an investment or a speculation standpoint. Over on the show, we do technical analysis and I do fundamental analysis. But also protocol tokens, I think, are really trying to get the cutting edge on how to integrate blockchain and projects into the real world. I think you're starting to see that crossover. I think UBIQ has kind of been under the radar, in my opinion. Obviously, you have EOS, who's way up there in market cap, and they really don't even have their mainnet live yet. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm an EOS fan. But I think that UBIQ here is, I want people to start talking about this more. And really, I want to see you guys start to get more traditional companies on board and really start making a real world use case here with UBIQ. But that's pretty much about it for me. What do you see as a success for 2018 for UBIQ? Maybe something for UBIQ Coin and maybe something separate for UBIQ Technologies Incorporated if you want to do both, since you work with both projects.
Yeah, like I think the bridge is just the main thing that we want to have going. We want to definitely have like some transactions, maybe even like Ether based on the UBIQ chain. Maybe do like an ICO that accepts Ether, but through the UBIQ chain. And as for the UBIQ company, yeah, I know we have so many things on the go, but it's I really would like to see our prototype of our own hardware wallet be part of like a hackathon or something. Like this is something that we've had a lot of interest in, and it's something that our focus is definitely going to be a lot more honed when we're all working out of our new office in Toronto. Yeah. So that's I guess another goal too, is to have a traditional startup environment. You know, where a good chunk of our dev team is going to be in one location, and we're able to work the long hours, burn the midnight oil in the same spot.
That's awesome. I think you pointed out a lot of interesting things here for UBIQ Coin. Obviously, you just talked about UBIQ as the company, Technologies Incorporated. But that's about it, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'm going to be tweeting this video out, and spread the word, guys. UBIQ may be here to stay.